Welcome to the Deep Dive. You've handed us a fascinating collection of sources, reports, and cultural deep dives into two of the world's most powerful entertainment industries.
Yeah, really interesting stuff to get into.
Today, we are settling into the arena of Asian television dramas, specifically J-dramas versus K-dramas.
Right, the big two.
We're going to try and dissect the financial models, the structural formats, and maybe the surprising creative forces that make these two entertainment behemoths, well, fundamentally different.
They really are, despite seeming similar on the surface sometimes.
So let's start simple. We have the Japanese television drama, which they often call Dorama, right? Or just J-drama.
Drama, yeah.
And then Korean drama or K-drama, which sometimes you hear called a Korean novella outside Korea.
That's true, especially tying it to that longer format.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission is to understand the DNA of each, how the structure dictates the story, and, what happens when those distinct structures go global.
And it's a rivalry built on, well, parallel history. Both are absolutely critical staples of their national television landscapes.
Sure.
Japan has the older legacy, technically. Its first known drama, Yugime, aired in an experimental broadcast way, way back in 1940.
Wow, 1940.
Yeah. South Korea's drama history kicks off more in the early 1960s, so we're talking about decades of foundational television, but their modern global forms are drastically different.
And the moment you look at the schedule, that distinction is glaring. It's the structural divide.
Yeah.
Fixed storytelling versus these really open-ended serials.
Exactly.
Let's start with the Japanese side. How does that work?
The Japanese system is, well, beautifully contained. They operate almost entirely as self-contained miniseries.
Miniseries, okay.
J-dramas are fixed length, usually running for 10 to 14-hour-long episodes, and they neatly fit into one of 4 3-month seasonal slots. You've got winter, spring, summer, or autumn.
I find the rigidity fascinating. Our sources emphasize that even if a show is a monster hit, it rarely continues into a new season.
Right. It's pretty strict.
The success gets monetized later, maybe through like an hour-long special or a film sequel, but the main story just stops. It's a clean package.
That's the default, yes. But we should probably note the nuance that our source materials highlight.
Okay.
While the majority of evening dramas follow this fixed seasonal model, there are long-running exceptions.
Like what?
Specifically, the jirageki. Those are the historical or period dramas and classic police procedurals. Think of the decades-long runs of shows like Mitokumon or Taiji Nihoro.
Ah, okay. So those exist too.
They do, but these exceptions really just prove the rule for the main evening dramas.
That fixed format raises a question, though. Why? Why did Japan stick to this seasonal contained story approach versus, the open-ended format we often see in the West or obviously in Korea?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, well, it seems to speak to an industry that values high-concept, repeatable, sort of non-disruptive packages.
Easier to manage.
Easier to manage, easier to sell globally, maybe, and definitely easier to slot into a highly regulated broadcast schedule.
Makes sense.
What's fascinating here is the contrast with K-drama's traditional daily structure. That's a whole different ballgame.
Right, the daily grind.
Traditionally, yeah. The daily Korean dramas air 5 nights a week, Monday through Friday, usually in those prime 7.0 to 9.00 p.m. slots.
Time.
And these are the marathon runners, often exceeding 150 episodes. It's a format very much inspired by the Latin American telenovela.
Okay, so that's the Korean novella link.
Exactly. And just to be clear, this isn't daytime soap opera territory we're talking about. In Korea, that daytime slot is usually reserved for reruns of those massive nightly hits.
Gotcha. But the K-drama system is also changing, isn't it? Especially because of global success and, well, changes at home.
Absolutely. The 2020s have shown a really notable shift toward pre-production and the shorter, more Western-style season system.
Like we see on streaming.
Precisely. Especially for dramas targeting global streaming platforms. Think of a series like The Penthouse. It had multiple seasons.
Right.
And this shift is partly a reaction to the extreme demands of the old system and partly influenced by things like new labor laws, such as the implementation of the 52-hour work week in the production industry.
That old system sounds intense, which I guess sets up the next and maybe most dramatic difference.
Yeah.
The production philosophies.
Oh, yeah.
Japan favors fast reaction, but within that contained miniseries environment, whereas South Korea perfected this notorious and frankly kind of chaotic live shoot model.
It's a good way to put it, chaotic.
So on the Japanese side, That fast turnaround is aggressive. Episodes are often shot only 2 or 3 weeks before they actually air,
Yeah, it's tight.
which suggests, I mean, it requires extreme precision, right?
Right.
Probably very strong network or agency control over talent and story delivery, making sure the script is locked down quickly.
It creates this fascinating dynamic where the production schedule runs so close to the broadcast date. I mean, there are legendary anecdotes of fans being able to visit their favorite idol actors while scenes are actively being shot.
No way.
Seriously. The process is lean, fast, and highly controlled. It's designed to deliver that contained 10-episode punch week after week.
Meanwhile, the traditional K-drama live shoot model sounds, well, like organized anarchy, as you said. They shoot the first 4 episodes in advance, sort of as a buffer.
Right, bit of breathing room.
But after that, it's continuous parallel shooting while this series is actually airing.
And this is where it gets really interesting. The whole point of the live shoot is to be reactive.
Reactive how?
Scripts are frequently changed, sometimes literally overnight, based on immediate viewer feedback, ratings performance, online buzz.
Wait, seriously? Overnight script changes based on ratings?
Oh yeah. If a secondary character suddenly becomes popular, the writer can pivot the plot instantly, give that character more screen time, change the ending of a conflict.
Hold on, how does that level of immediate, like mid-air script change affect the overall quality or just the coherence of the story by the time you get to the finale? It seems like it would risk compromising the whole narrative arc.
That raises an important question, and it's really the core tension of the live shoot model.
I bet.
For the best writers, maybe this volatility fuels dramatic intensity. The stories feel raw, immediate. They reflect the national conversation in real time.
Okay, I can see that potential upside.
But the human cost. The results are brutal.
How so?
The unrelenting tight schedules require actors to be perpetually on standby. Catching sleep wherever they can, there's actually a term for it, side sleeping, or J-joke jam.
Wow.
The anecdotes here are legendary, illustrating the sheer tension of the system. We're talking about situations where, say, a 70-minute episode might literally arrive at the broadcast station in 7 separate 10-minute chunks.
While it's airing.
Sometimes, yes, while the episode is already on air.
That is insane. The example in the source about Man from the Equator going black countrywide for 10 minutes during an airing because the footage just hadn't arrived yet.
Exactly. That illustrates just how high the stakes were under that system. It was pushed to the absolute limit.
And yet, this frantic, high-risk production model is financed by, well, massive amounts of capital.
Huge amounts. K-drama production is incredibly high budget. Take a show like Kingdom that was budgeted at something like $2 billion per episode.
$2 billion per episode.
Per episode. And the star power demands immense salaries, too. Kim Soo-yeon reportedly received $500 million per episode for one ordinary day back in 2021.
$500 million per episode for the lead actor.
Yeah. So the chaos of the live shoot, or at least the potential for it, is underpinned by immense financial commitment.
Okay, so if we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to look at who is steering these narrative ships.
Right, the creative forces.
And the sources point out that K-dramas are exceptionally centralized around powerful writers, which sounds like a major factor in how their themes evolve.
That's absolutely right. One of the most striking sociological facts about K-dramas is the dominance of women in the scriptwriting field.
Really? How dominant?
Our sources indicate that up to 90% of scriptwriters are women.
90%. Wow.
Yeah. And these are powerful creative forces, names like Kim Yoon-suk or Kim Soo-nok. They write across genres, not just romance. They're doing action, complex, family epics, thrillers.
So they have a lot of influence.
Huge influence. Thematically, K-dramas traditionally excel at blending, traditional Confucian family values and friendship with modern Western individualism and romance.
That blend seems key.
It is. But because these powerful writers often have significant creative control, they've been able to push boundaries. They're increasingly tackling critical societal issues, things like mental illness, stigma, gender inequality, corruption. Often wrapped up, admittedly, in that highly idealized, handsome, intelligent, rich male protagonist who's searching for true love. That trope is still strong.
Okay, fair enough. Meanwhile, the creative history of the modern J-drama seems rooted in a specific cultural moment. The trendy drama.
Ah, yes, the trendy drama. Very influential.
This genre got really popular in the late 80s and 90s, emerging right out of Japan's bubble economy era.
Exactly. Perfect timing.
And the sources say they were inspired by Western ensemble films like The Big Chill or St. Elmo's Fire, focusing on young, metropolitan professionals navigating life and love in Tokyo.
That's the core formula. Young, attractive, urban.
That formula, that short, high-concept contemporary feel, it's apparently been updated over the decades. It's credited with the ongoing success of modern evening dramas by shifting focus sometimes to cover harder social issues.
Like what kind of issues?
Things like teenage violence, child abuse, proving that the fixed J-drama format is surprisingly adaptable, even when it's tackling social commentary within that tight structure.
Interesting. And the soundtrack is crucial in both worlds too, right? The OSTs.
Definitely. Original soundtracks, they aren't just background noise, they feel integral to the emotional landscape of the drama.
Totally. K-drama OSTs are massive standalone cultural products. They frequently feature popular K-pop artists, or sometimes even the lead actors themselves singing.
Like Lee Min-ho singing for Boys Over Flowers.
Exactly. Or you have someone like Baek Ji-young, who's known as the OS Queen for her contributions to so many hit dramas. These songs are huge hits in their own right.
But the J-drama music approach has actually created headaches for its global export.
How so?
Well, while many dramas feature original music, others famously license popular Western artists for theme songs, big international hits.
Okay.
But when these shows are sold abroad, those licenses often don't extend internationally, which leads to costly licensing problems or forcing the music to be completely replaced.
Ah, I see. So the international version might have totally different music.
Yeah, like what apparently happened with Densha Toko for its international release. That's a practical limitation on its global footprint, having to swap out key music.
Exactly. And that brings us neatly to the final major difference.
Sure.
Global impact and soft power.
Right, so what does this all mean for their international dominance? Because the last 2 decades have overwhelmingly been dominated by the Korean wave, or Hallyu.
No question. Hallyu achieved massive global acceleration, largely due to, well, maybe 2 factors. The emotional intensity of the content itself,
Which that reactive model might have fueled.
possibly,
Yeah.
and sheer financial muscle from global streamers. Netflix, for instance, has poured billions. The figure mentions a $2.5 billion into K content.
And that investment is paying off.
Seems so. In 2022, something like 60% of Netflix's global subscribers watched at least one Korean program. That's huge reach.
Incredible.
And this influence started decades ago, really. Winter Sonata became this massive cultural hit in Japan, of all places. It boosted tourism, cultural ties between the two countries.
Which are often pretty fractious, historically.
Exactly. Later, historical epics like Daejang Jam achieved phenomenal viewership in places you might not expect, like Iran, Vietnam, Mongolia.
Wow.
The cultural influence is tangible. It affects fashion, it drives language learning in countries like Nepal and India. It's even been deployed in cultural diplomacy. The U.S. military apparently used Winter Sonata in Iraq, trying to improve its image, using a K-drama for soft power.
That's quite something. And we have to address the stark political contrast inherent in that global reach, too.
You mean North Korea?
Yeah. Viewing South Korean media in North Korea is considered, well, treasonous, a serious offense punishable by execution.
Yeah, people still watch it.
Apparently so. Black market viewing persists.
Yeah.
There were reports in 2021 of young people being punished severely just for watching the popular series The Penthouse. That speaks volumes about the perceived power of the content.
It really does. Finally, let's just quickly look at the numbers back home. Ratings.
Right. How important are they domestically?
In both countries, they remain critical barometers for success and, crucially, for an artist's career trajectory.
Boy.
In Japan, ratings, mainly measured by Video Research Ltd. In the key Kanto and Kansai areas, directly determine an artist's future offers and roles. A poor rating can genuinely stop a career cold.
High stakes.
It's very high. And in South Korea, ratings are tracked with obsessive meticulousness. Nielsen Korea is the sole provider now, as of 2024.
And the numbers are big.
The viewership figures can be astounding, demonstrating their national importance. Terrestrial dramas, like the classic You and I, achieved national household ratings of like 66.9%.
Whoa, 2/3 of households.
Yeah. And even massive cable hits like The World of the Married peaked at 28.371%. These numbers show just how deeply rooted these dramas are in the national psyche.
Definitely.
Ultimately, the contrast comes down to approach and maybe risk profile. J-dramas contain seasonal narratives built on a formula that favors these high-concept miniseries packages, highly controlled.
Right, the neat package.
K-dramas, conversely, traditionally embraced high-stakes risk, that frantic, reactive live shoot model, which has fueled both their dramatic intensity and their staggering global growth, driven by powerful star writers and really intense emotional delivery.
It's an interesting duality in Asian entertainment, isn't it? You have
Yeah.
Japan specializing in the high-quality consumable miniseries package,
Polished, contained.
And South Korea, which historically perfected the highly reactive, high-stakes marathon that just seems to captivate audiences worldwide.
Yeah, that raw energy.
So considering that we're seeing K-drama increasingly shift towards pre-production and global streaming formats, moving away from that frantic viewer feedback live shoot model, you have to wonder, how will this structural change affect the thematic content?
Yeah.
And that speed of plot adaptation that has historically defined K-drama's global appeal.
Oh, good question.
Will the stories maybe lose some of their raw, immediate connection to the audience once the production schedule slows down and becomes more planned? That's something for you to mull over until our next deep dive.